Hey guys, what's going on? This is Deadly. Welcome back to another episode of Ask Deadly, the weekly show where I read your guys' comments and I'll do my best to pick a couple of them and answer them. This week, though, it's going to be a little bit different. A lot of people for the live stream suggested that I did an Ask Deadly live at the end of my 12-hour broadcast. So these questions were submitted live on the broadcast, and I did my best to answer them. This is a little bit of a different dynamic, so do let me know what you think in the comment section below. But if you want your questions answered for next week, leave them here in the comment section of this video, and I'll do my best to pick a couple of them. Hope you guys enjoy something a little bit different for this week's Ask Deadly episode. And again, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Maybe I'll do this more often. The next question comes from Desmitty. Would you ever give smaller YouTubers / streamers a chance to roll with you? People with smaller communities and channels. I like to think that I do that a lot already. But there's really only so many days a week that I can stream, and there's only so many people I can stream with. So for the most part, like with the Running Man, Minder, Markstrom, myself, Aces, and a lot of others, we've kind of figured out that 3 is sort of the best company. Any more than 3 players at a time, especially when you're streaming, you need to have some time where you can talk over and communicate with your broadcast. So if you have too many people, there's going to be too much communication in the TeamSpeak, and you're going to be forced to stay muted a lot to communicate and read off followers and donations and things like that. So it can be difficult at times. And whenever, I've been streaming now for a couple years, and you start to kind of get into a relationship where you play with certain people. Just like you would with anything, it kind of happens on stream as well with other broadcasters, but not just other broadcasters. I play with non-casters as well from time to time as well, but it is much easier to play with somebody who is streaming than with somebody who isn't streaming, because they're going to be wanting to communicate with you, and maybe it might feel a little awkward to them with you being really quiet all the time because you're constantly communicating. So in the end of the day, if people want to play DayZ with me and they're just starting on Twitch or YouTube, the best thing to do is to get involved with our community here. Become an active member, show up to the broadcast, participate in the Derp Squad events, and slowly over time, I'll be more willing to actually jump on and play with you. If I don't know who you are, and I've never, I get people all the time who I just don't know, who ask me to play DayZ with them, and if I've never played with them or if I've never vibed with them before, it can be a little difficult. So that's sort of the answer to that question. Eat my grenades. Since you played DayZ for over 4,000 hours, how do you still have fun in the game? That's a good question. What I cheat up as much as I possibly can. So I feel like you see it all the time during the live stream, where I'll just prefer to kill my Northwestern character who's completely kitted and do a brand new character and gather a bunch of supplies and loot up. That's kind of how I stay sane, constantly building up new characters, especially with shotguns and repeaters and magnums and stuff. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is changing your playstyle a little bit. So if you're always a bandit and you're always killing on sight, trying to be a hero or even a survivor or playing as a survivalist is a good way of doing things. And I guess the last thing I'll say about that is try some roleplay servers or some RP PvP servers, like DayZ Underground, EU or US, and get involved with the communities. Or it doesn't just mean DayZ Underground, but any private Hive community. Get involved there and start meeting other people who play on the server. And I think that will add a new value to the game for you. I guess I guess the last thing is do crazy shit, run into firefights, do goofy stuff, die a lot, and eventually you'll just make some really funny plays and have a good time. Do I ever play on public servers from playing old school? Do you ever play on public servers? If so, how often? No, man. I try to avoid public servers as much as I can. And the reason why I do that is simply because I feel like I don't have enough access to the administrators. The loot economy is open, so people can just farm loot on empty servers and then switch over to your full server. People can like build these massive player stashes with absolutely like no limitations. So people can just farm barrels on other servers and then just build these crazy stashes and stuff. So for me, and also I find that more people hack and exploit on public servers, and that's just my opinion and what I've seen, because you have less access to good administrators. There's really nobody to report it to, so they're going to be constantly on that server causing problems. So for me, I try to stick to private servers and private servers only if I can. We got a question from another asshat. I have 80 hours played in DayZ. Is there the best way for me to learn how to use different weapons? I would say kill zombies, but that could, you know, that could be difficult. Like maybe find an empty server, farm and collect some guns, and then just practice. Maybe at the Tizzy firing range or against wolves or zombies. I would say if you're brand new to FPSs on the PC in general, just get guns and shoot Zeds on empty servers and try to get that muscle memory up and get used to the ARMA controls, because it can be a little bit of a learning curve. But that's what I probably would do if I was brand new. That's like, I was teaching Shelby how to play DayZ, and that is what we did. I just basically said, hey, okay, we got to start off by you just killing zombies to learn how to aim your weapons. So that's the best thing that you can do, I guess, is just try to just use the guns as much as possible. And just keep playing the game. Like, the more you play, the more hours you get, the more firefights that you participate in, the better that you will become, believe it or not. Just like with anything. Next question comes from Turbo Penguin. Show us your office setup. Yeah, that's one of the most highly requested things. It's not a very impressive setup. It's just messy, dude. I really just need to clean it up a little bit, give it a little pizzazz, and then I'll be ready to showcase it a little bit. I just, you know, if I'm gonna make a video showcasing my office, I want it to look nice and clean. So it's usually just, shit is usually just everywhere in my office. So I really do need to clean it up. So, but it will happen eventually. I will do a setup video very soon. I promise you that. If I don't make a setup video by the summertime, I don't know, annoy the hell out of me. Try to get my attention. Yeah, pretty much. Practically AFK. All right. We got, next question comes from Smeegsy. Do you feel movement needs to be reworked in DayZ? It is tough to shoot someone when they can go 0 to full speed just by sprinting. There should be a momentum factor or an acceleration factor. Also, when players zigzag, they can change directions way too easily. I agree with you, like 100%. I think one of the best, well, believe it or not, Squad had a really bad stamina system initially, but they've reworked it a little bit since they released their game, and it's got a lot better. So I would say definitely some momentum. Like this, doing this is silly. Like, you shouldn't be able to just do this. There should be some movement. Just like if you do like A and D. You know how there's like some little bit of weight to it? You know, you shouldn't. This is just so silly. Like, you can dodge. Like, it just makes serpentining so OP. Alright? So I think that's really fucking silly. But, you know, whatever. I'm sure it's going to get worked on. I'm pretty sure they had plans for some sort of momentum or stamina system that will hopefully correct that problem. Next question comes from Christian Dance. Christian Dancita? Sorry. What did one butt cheek say to the other? If we stick together, then we can stop this shit. By the way, we love you. Thanks for the joke. Next question comes from Lane. This one's pretty generic, but what is your favorite part about DayZ? The favorite part about DayZ is definitely the unpredictability. Like, that's the reason why I continue to play this game, because every single time that you play it, it's slightly different. Like, you're running into different people, you're PvPing with different, you're PvPing against separate players, you're meeting different stories and like RP characters as well. You never know exactly what guns you're going to find or what equipment that you're going to have. It's different every time. If you're going to run into a pack of wolves, if you're going to have a zombie horde on you, it's just, every single time is different, which is why it's so easy to continue to play this game for over 4,000 hours. You know, there's not that many games that I can do that. Next question comes from Mies. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but with this game getting closer and closer to beta, I think it's time to talk and think about mods. So what kind of mods do you want to see? Good question. Modding in DayZ. We talk about this during Ask Deadly episodes a lot. But which mods I want to see? I want to see a Namulsk mod. I think everybody really does, and we know that it's happening because there's already screenshots of it. And I've included screenshots in previous Ask Deadly episodes. That's probably the #1 thing on my list, is just new maps. Not necessarily new vehicles or zombies. But maps, man. We need new maps. New things to experience, new places to explore. And I think just adding new maps to the game is probably a little bit easier than full-scale rework of like implementing guns and vehicles and things like that. Especially when the game is not really ready to go. But the modding system is going to work similar to the way Arma 3's modding system works right now. So expect similar types of stuff. Like in Arma 3, basically. It's going to have like a launcher and everything when you start it up, and you're going to be able to select what mods you want enabled and what ones you don't have enabled. So Namulsk, Taviana. I hate to say it, but I mean, obviously a lot of people are going to want an Epoch mod. Battle Royale mods, DayZ Life mods. I think DayZ Life is one I really want. I hope somebody makes a DayZ Life mod, because I feel like this engine would be really good for a life mod. There would be so much that you could do with like the inventory system and like the handcuff system and everything like that. And all of the buildings pretty much having interiors as well. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I gotta plug my headset in. Sorry if I'm not reading chat, guys. I'm just trying to do my best because we are doing this in more of like a YouTube format. So I'm just specifically going to be reading questions from the Google form. If you guys want to ask some questions, go to that form. I'll be reading another couple. Well, I wanted to do this live tonight. I think it would be a cool idea. Next question comes from Vic Chalker 1247. What are some of the goals you'd like to reach this year regarding stream and IRL? And how much for Winston? I pay cash. That's a good question too, man. I think goals for the stream, I'd like to reach 1,000 subscribers. I think that would be a really big deal. I mean, it's not necessary at this point, but it would be cool to unlock 5 new emotes for the channel. And to just say that there's 1,000 members of the DNE would be absolutely insane. So that has to be like #1 on my list. I think #2 would be to try to surpass my YouTube channel. So surpass my YouTube channel in followers. So I have like around 40,000 followers on Twitch and about 65,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I'd like to surpass it. That would be cool. And I guess for the YouTube side, eventually I'd like to get 100,000 subscribers so I can get access to the bronze play button, which is something that has been like a long-standing goal of mine. IRL, I'd like to lose a little bit more weight. Last year I lost about 45 pounds. So this year I'd like to continue that journey and actually get a little bit healthier. Increase like my exercise and stuff. So that would be the plan. Can I speak French? Do you know if you have a lot of French viewers? That's from Shittle. No, I don't know how to speak French. I am Canadian though. I did have French class from kindergarten until grade 9, but I never bothered to really care and didn't pay much attention. I wish I could. I wish I could speak French, but I really don't know how. So probably one of the biggest things that I kick myself in the ass for not really caring about in elementary school and junior high. So yeah, again, I wish. We got the Aussie. May I see your DayZ settings? I can't see them through houses based on my settings. Wait. May I see your DayZ settings? I can't seem to see through houses based on my settings, even when I have 1080. Well, if you're at a certain distance, houses' windows are going to be a little Like, they're not going to render correctly. But here's my settings. You can also do ! settings in my chat. But this is for the most part my settings. So if you want to actually just stop the video right now and just copy them, you can. This works for me, but it may not work for you. So yeah. Next question. I don't know who that is, so I'm gonna actually skip that question. Sorry, Demon Hunter. Lieutenant Dan, do you think helicopters or bases will be implemented? Oh, we know for a fact that base building is happening. We've seen screenshots, they talk about it all the time, and we also know that helicopters are coming because it's in the game files. So we know that there's at least going to be a Little Bird and a medical back helicopter and a biplane. So there are going to be aerial vehicles in the game. How many there will be remains to be seen. I'd probably say there's probably only going to be 2 helicopters in the game initially, and then people are going to be modding in ones from Arma 3, most likely. From Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan. Next question from JCon72. Go check out his channel, youtube.com/JCon72, man. What is your opinion on the new forest/bush coming in 0.62, and how do you think it will affect PvP? Ooh, that's a crazy question. I think it's going to benefit people greatly. It's going to reward people who play in the woodland areas a lot more. And it's going to make the value of having a ghillie suit immense. I think that's going to be the biggest change, is the value of ghillie suits is going to increase dramatically, because you're going to be able to actually use a ghillie for the most part, even at distance, I hope. Now, how the graphic fidelity looks at range will really determine how much it's going to affect PvP. Like, if you don't see all, like, for example, you see, like, maybe that might be tough, but those trees over there, you know how we can just kind of like see in between them? Like, we can see the ground from here. Or you see that, like, I can see the grass, like there's no texture right at the point of my fingertip. If the graphic fidelity doesn't render in like that, it's going to look really silly, and it's really going to just be redundant. But there's going to be a lot of graphical updates to also, like, the roads, like the dirt roads, the paved roads, and things like that. So I think it's going to reward players who like to sit in the bushes more. But it just depends on how far the render distance is going to be for all the new stuff. So, we got Formfire76. What are your feelings towards introducing new maps into DayZ? I guess we already talked about that question. Hey DOS, how many coffees do you have on a daily basis? I typically have 1 in the morning when I start my stream, 1 around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And then that's basically it for the most part. I try not to not go over that. Like, there's some times where I just crank too much coffee and I start getting jitters in PvP. Jeez, it's been 20 minutes already. Are you fucking kidding me? All right, we'll read off another few questions, guys. I'll try to finish them. We only have a few more left. Next question comes from Memes Be Dreams. Have you ever considered starting your own stream team? No, I'm in the Hammer Squad, which is Tally's, the World of Warcraft streamers stream team, which I will always be like a member of the Hammer Squad first. So hammers up, always. Second to that is the Karma Crew, which is a collection of DayZ broadcasters, which are all people that I play with on a regular basis. So stream teams, in my opinion, don't hold as much value as people think. They're just good if you want to play with, like, if you want to organize your streams with other broadcasters. It's just another way of networking with other casters. I play with people all the time. Aces is not a member of the Karma Crew, and I play with him all the time. You know, I'm not limited to just playing with people who are in my stream teams. But typically the idea of a stream team is to help other broadcasters grow their own channels by hosting them and supporting them and playing with them. So if you have a stream team that's doing that, then it's useful, which is like the Karma Crew. Very organized, and we work together quite often to support each other's channels. But if you get into a stream team where you're just in there and nothing happens, there's no point to it. Next question comes from Nico371C. What is the most important addition the developers need to add to this game? Server performance. That's about it. Constantly trying to strive to make the server more stable, and then also vehicles. This game needs vehicles. I know they're on experimental 0.61 right now, but the lack of vehicles in the game just sucks. So I like to see the vehicles come back, and from what I've played on 0.61, I've driven a decent amount of cars. They play great, other than a little bit of lag that they need to sort out. So once they fix the lag issue, once you get at like high speed, then they should be ready to go for stable branch. So fingers crossed we'll see that sometime fairly soon. Next question comes from Risk Bagel. Blaze or Winnie, and why? A Blaze if you're going up against one other opponent. A Winchester if you're going up against more than one opponent. The Blaze, you can fire down like 2 rounds accurately downrange in quick succession, where the Winchester has 5 rounds in the internal mag. So if you're going against more than one opponent, it's important that you have a higher magazine capacity. I prefer the Winchester, just because. I like bolt actions. Some people like the Blaze. I prefer the Winnie. I used to prefer the Blaze to the Winnie, but once they added in the press R to pull back the bolt thing, yeah, I just sort of stopped using it. We got McLemmy. What changes would you like to be seen made before others? Combat or non-combat related? Well, I think everything is related to each other. So if you fix like combat desync, that's probably going to fix a number of other issues. I'm going to go with the question just like before. I'd like to see desync dealt with as best as possible. Really. Okay. This question's from Braminus? I don't know how to pronounce your name, but do you think DayZ will ever leave early access? Yeah, probably eventually, but I don't think it's ever going to stop development. I think once the developers have had enough of developing DayZ standalone, they're going to be passing it over to the community, and then eventually the development will slowly grind to a halt as players begin to leave the game. Ah, okay. Brominus. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, we got like, I'm going to do one more question. So there's a few more questions here, but I'm not going to be able to get to them. This one's from AJG. How do you feel about the current loot economy in DayZ? What do you think needs to be changed or improved upon? Weapons need to spawn again at helicopters, like finding M4s, FALs, AUGs, SVDs, VSS Ventores, not on helicopter crashes, needs to change. That is probably the biggest change that needs to happen. I don't care if you can, like, I think finding 5.56 at Tizzy is fine. I think finding magazines is fine in military tents, but the actual guns themselves should be acquired from the helicopter crashes. So that is probably the biggest change that I would like to see implemented to the game. Increase the rarity of some of the more overpowered weapons, I think is important. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Ask Deadly. I hope you guys enjoyed something a little bit different and it live. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more daily DayZ content here on the channel. Ask your questions for next week in the comment section below, and be sure to check out the daily live stream every single morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A link to that will be included in the description box below.